Namaskar, I am Dr. Aarti Chaudhary, Assistant Professor in the Department of Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archaeology at Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Banaras Hindu University. I welcome you once again in this 12-week course titled History of Science and Technology in Ancient India from Harappan Civilization to 7th century CE. Today, we are going to discuss about Module 7, Lecture 3. The title of Module 7 is Sciences in the Kautilya Arthashastra and the title of Lecture 3 is Construction of Forts and Layout of Fortified City, which is mentioned in Arthashastra. At first, we have to see the learning objectives of this particular topic. So, the first learning objective is to understand strategic fort construction and principles described in the Kautilya Arthashastra. The second learning objective is to analyze urban layout and zoning system, and the third learning objective is to evaluate military and economic significance. In this topic, we are going to discuss about types of fort, architectural norms, structural elements of a fort, layout of fortified city. You must be thinking why these points are important in this scientific aspect of Arthashastra, because these type of information, this architectural norms, structural elements and layout gives information regarding the scientific practices done by that time of people. The particular shape of architecture, the particular shape of a fort and the different dimensions of the fort as well as layout of the city is based on a scientific platform, is based on a particular module, and this module is very important in terms to understand the scientific development and the scientific understanding of a particular time period. So, these kind of structures are also the part of scientific study what we are going to dealing here. The construction of fort and the layout of fortified cities in ancient times reflect a sophisticated blend of science, technology and strategic planning. These were not just defensive structures, but advanced urban system built for military strength, governance and sustainable living. Geometric city planning used standardized measurements with roads categorized by function, royal, irrigation or pedestrian. Engineering principles shaped moats, rampart, drawbridges and hidden passes for maximum defense and visibility. Materials and techniques demonstrated strong knowledge of structural stability. Technological foresight include integrated utilize like water system, drain, granaries and storerooms, ensuring self-sufficiency during sieges. Zoning based on occupation, religion and administration showed organized spatial design. Now, the types of fort mentioned in Kautilya Arthashastra. Various types of forts were constructed based on geographical and strategic consideration. Yes, here it is important, the fort, the building of fort is depends on that particular geographical strategies. If a fort is present anywhere, then we must believe that the makers of the fort were well known to the geographical condition, were well known to the climatic condition of that particular zone. First fort is water fort, which is Audak Durg, surrounded by natural water bodies such as river or by artificially created moats filled with water. These forts relied on aquatic barrier for defense. Now, hill fort Parvat Durga, built within mountains terrain between hills, valleys or within caves. These forts leverage natural elevation and difficult access for protection. Next is desert fort Dhanvana Durg, located in arid elevated regions lacking vegetation. These forts were designed to exploit the natural dryness and open landscapes. Forest Durg, Forest Fort Vanadurg, situated in dense forest surrounded by marshal lands and thorny shrubs. These forts provided refuge to the king during times of emergency. So, we can understand the ancient scientific thought also provide information regarding the different construction of fort on the basis of favorable climatic condition of a particular area. Now, the architectural norms. The layout and structure of cities were guided by specific architectural norms. The shape of the city could be circular, elongated or square. Circular, elongated or square. These kind of shapes are part of the scientific mathematical calculation. There should be provision for both waterways and land routes to facilitate trade and transportation. Surrounding the city, 3 concentric moat defensive trenches were to be excavated at interval of 1 dand. 1 dand means approximately 6 feet. The width of these moat were to be 14, 12 and 10 dands respectively. The depth of each moat was to be either 3/4 or half of its surface width. The bottom can be flat or narrow to 1/3 of the width. So, these architectural norms is very much important in terms to understand the particular construction of a region. Moats were to be very important, moats are very important in ancient perspective, paved with stone or constructed with stone or brick lined sides, connected to natural springs or filled with external water sources. It could be equipped with drainage system or removing excess water, stocked with aquatic flora like lotuses and even crocodiles for natural defense. A rampart was to be constructed 4 dands approximately 24 feet or 7.2 meters beyond the outermost moat using the earth excavated during moat construction. The next is rampart. The rampart was to be 6 dand high, approximately 36 feet or 11 meters and twice as wide at the base, topped with a platform like flat surface or a jug shaped curve. Compacted and reinforced by trampling with elephants and bullocks. It lined with clusters of thorny bushes and poisonous creepers along the side for additional security. On top of the rampart, a parapet wall was to be constructed twice as high as it is wide, built from bricks. The parapet, the construction for a particular parapet is also mentioned in Kautilya Arthashastra, and this kind of construction is a part of scientific study. Height ranging from 12 to 24 hasts, approximately 18 to 36 feet, either in odd or even numbers, designed with a passage for chariot movement. Alternatively, the parapet could be constructed from large closely fitted stone slabs. The parapet should never be made of wood, as it can easily catch fire and is unsafe for defense. So, we can understand the knowledge of that particular time mentioned in the Kautilya Arthashastra. Not only the protection of fort, not only the protection of that particular rampart wall, as well as the parapet construction, the material which is which made by the parapet is also explained in this text. So, that if the parapet is made by the wood, then it easily catch fire. So, the parapet construction should be very careful. Now, the structural elements of a fort: turrets and towers. Turrets were to be constructed square in shape with stairs for access and their length equal to their height. They were to be spaced 30 duns, about 180 feet or 55 meters apart. This measurement is very important, though the unit is different, but we cannot deny that in the Kautilya Arthashastra, in the time period of Kautilya, much more sophisticated calculation pattern was present. Between every two turrets, a two-story tower with a hall was to be built. This tower should be 1.5 times longer than its height. Now, the explanation on archer stations and defensive walkways. Between each turret and tower, a fighting platform was to be built in the center using planks with hole and covers, providing space for 3 archers. In the gap between structures, a narrow walkway, God's way, was to be made 2 hasts wide and 4 times as long, placed along the side. Internal fort pathways. Inside the fort, path should be 1 or 2 duns wide, including runway and exit doors placed in strategically secure location. What is the opinion of Kautilya in external fort defense? Just see, outside the fort, a covered road was to be constructed, rigged with numerous defensive traps and deterrents such as knee breakers, spikes, hidden pits, concealed trap, barbed wires and uniquely shaped obstacle like. So, with the example of this, we can understand this kind of construction of that particular path or the particular area is a scientific construction, where security is very important, but the construction, the idea of construction, the idea to execute that particular construction is the part of scientific study. Gateway and structure. On either side of the parapet, ram's head structure, each 1.5 duns in size, were to be built. The gateway should allow space for 6 support beams measuring between 5 and 8 duns square or extended by 1/6 to 1 1/8 beyond that size. The floor height was to range between 15 to 18 hus, approximately 23 to 27 feet. Pillars were to be 1/6 and length in circumference, twice the circumference below ground for stability. The capital top part of the pillar should be 1/4 the length in circumferences. Now, the explanation about the interior layout. 1/5 of the ground floor should be occupied by a hall, a well and a broader room. Two platforms facing each other were to occupy 1/10 of the area with two doors and a central room in between. Next explanation is, at half the height of the floor, another structure was to be built supported by pillars. Now, upper chamber construction. As we see, we have to be very careful about this lecture, because we have seen the scientific approaches which present by the different kind of construction mentioned in Kautilya Arthashastra. The fort, the construction of fort, the construction of moat, the construction of rampart wall, the construction of different layouts, roads, and that particular interior and outer construction, the home construction, the well construction, these all construction are based on a scientific measurement which gives example of a very good scientific approach and very good measurement scale which described in Kautilya Arthashastra. Now, upper chamber construction. The fortified structure should include an upper chamber which should occupy either half or 1/3 of the total built up space. The construction material shall be brick masonry for strength and durability. The chamber must be accessed by two staircases. One visible staircase is positioned on the left side, ascending in a left to right direction. Another concealed staircase, hidden or usually less prominent, embedded within the opposite wall, allowing discrete of or defensive access. Now, arc design specification. The crest of the arc should be 2 hus in height. This dimension ensures proportionality and structural strength by traditional architectural norms. Now, the door configuration. Not only the construction of home or road, as well as the construction of a door is also scientifically present in Kautilya Arthashastra. There should be two door leaves together covering 3/5 of the total doorway, ensuring balanced closure. These doors must be secured with two bars offering mechanical strength and protection. Now, the elephant passes and barriers. We are talking about that time or period where the war was generally occurs between the different dynasties. So, the army of elephants also very important part of that army. So, the passes of elephants is also explained by Kautilya Arthashastra. The structure must incorporate 4 elephant bars which likely serve as heavy duty horizontal beams or barricades to prevent forced entry by war elephants. A designated elephant nail passage with a width equal to half the overall width of the structure must be created to manage the movement or control of such large animals within the premises. Now, the bridge design. A rectangle bridge shall be constructed with a width equal to the opening it serves, allowing defensive control over access. In areas where no water bodies are present, the bridge may be constructed as a permanent earthen ramp or causeway. Now, gate Gopur construction guidelines. The main gate Gopur must feature an opening that matches the width of the parapet. One third of the Gopur should be shaped like a lizard mouth, possibly symbolizing vigilance or a strategic architectural motif. Now, specialized gates and entrance type, it is also explained in Kautilya Arthashastra with a fixed measurement and a fixed style. A Pushkarni gate must be constructed with a well located centrally within the parapet, possibly for water access or sacred significance. The Komaripur gate shall be accompanied by 4 hall, each spaced 1.5 dunds apart and should contain holes. A Mundap gate should be built as a bare 2-story structure. Gate design must be adaptable depending on available land area and building materials. Now, layout of fortified city. Division of residential area. The city should be divided by 3 royal highways running west to east and 3 running south to north, forming a well organized grid. We should careful here, west to east and 3 running south to north. The direction of this particular angle and calculation of that particular direction is deeply associated with each other. It should be equipped with 12 gates and proper infrastructure such as water supply, drainage system and underground passages for utility or defense. Now, urban planning hierarchy. Sthaniya district town. One major town should be established for every 800 villages to take care the particular area smoothly. Dronamukh sub town. For every 400 villages, a sub town should be developed. Kshetrik town, kasba. For every 200 villages, there should be a smaller town or kasba. Sangrahan tax collection center. For every 10 villages, a collection point should be established to manage revenue and taxation. Durg fort. At the border of the entire province, a fort should be constructed for defense headed by an official known as the Antapala, border commander. Now, road width specification. Like general roads should be 4 dund wide, the following road should be 8 dund wide. Royal highway and roads within a Dronamukh, Sthaniya, countryside and pastoral land. Roads in harbour towns and path in battle formations, roads leading to cremation ground and within villages. Path on irrigation works and in forest 4 dund wide, elephant path and path along agricultural field 2 dund wide, chariot path 5 arathnis wide, and this is the another unit arathnis. Cattle path 4 arathnis wide, path for small animal and pedestrian 2 arathnis wide. Now, zoning of administrative and residential sections. North by east, residence for the preceptor, chapelain, space for sacrifices, water sources and council chambers. South by east, kitchen, elephant stables and magazine. Eastern quarter, residence for dealers in perfumes, flowers, liquid, toiletry, artisans and kshatriyas. East by south, storehouse for goods, audit and records office and worksman quarters. West by south, storehouse for forest produce and the armory. So, these kind of direction is not just a design of the city, this is explanation. This explanation is gives information regarding the scientific understanding of a particular construction of a city, which is explained in Kautilya Arthashastra. Southern quarter, residence for grain dealers, factory and armory officer, vendors of cooked food, wine and meat as well as countersigns, dancers and vaishyas. South by west, stables for donkeys and camels and workshop. North by west, stables for carriage and chariots. Western quarter, residence for artisan working in wool, yarn, bamboo, leather, weapons, shields and the Shudra class. West by north, rooms for wares and medicines. East by north, treasury and housing for cattle and horses. Northern quarter, temples of city and royal deities, residence of metal and jewel artisans and Brahmins. Now, sacred and religious structure. In the city center, shrines should be built for deities such as Aparajita, Jayant and Vaijyant. Temples dedicated to Shiva, Vaisravan, Ashwini, Sri and Madira should also be established. Preceding deities must be installed by regional traditions and directions. Deities on the city gate. The city gate should be resided over Brahma, Indra, Yam, Senapati, commander. So, the scientific aspect is based on calculation, measurement as well as this scientific aspect is also associated with the different mythological aspect with the deities of that contemporary period for the smooth and flawless structure of that particular city. Now, periphery of the city at a distance of 100 dhanu from the city moat designated area should be created for sanctuaries, holy groves, water reservoir and quarters of the deities. Now, cremation ground. What Arthashastra said about cremation grounds? Let us see. The northern or eastern section of the cremation ground should be allocated for the higher one. The southern section is designated for the lower one. Any violation of these demarcation incurs penalties. The outskirts of the cremation grounds are the heretics and candelas. Property boundaries and household provisions. Property lines should be allocated based on the space needed for workshop. With proper permission, resident may cultivate flower garden, fruit orchards, grain and commodity storage facilities. Even 10 families may have a shared well. Strategic storage and stock piling. Long term storage unit should be maintained with essential supplies including fat, grain, sugar and salt, perfume, medicine, dried vegetables, fodder, dried meat, hay, wood, metals, hides, charcoal, tendons, poisons, horn, bamboo, bark, strong timber, weapons, shields and stones. Now, military defense force deployment. The city should host a standing force of elephants, horses, chariot and infantry divided under multiple chief. Multiple command structures prevent disloyalty and ensure mutual accountability. On the basis of these whole structural information, the different type of measurement which is mentioned in the measurement of that particular structure, we can understand the whole city, whole town or the whole area was much more scientific construction, and it gives information regarding the scientific understanding of that particular time period on the basis of this explanation which found from the Kautilya Arthashastra. So, we can conclude the Arthashastra offers a systematic and scientific approach to the construction and strategic use of fort, highlighting the advanced military engineering and political insight of ancient India. Kautilya provides detailed guideline regarding the location, structure and design of forts, considering factors such as topography, climate, resource management and security. This demonstrates a clear blend of empirical observation and rational planning. The focus on concentric defense, fortified gateways, moats and surveillance system indicates an early understanding of principles similar to modern defense architecture. Therefore, the Arthashastra not only contributes to the field of political science and governance, but also serve as a foundational text in the scientific tradition of military infrastructure and strategic planning in ancient Indian thought. So, we can understand on the basis of these explanation which present in this lecture that we showed the particular measurement regarding the moat, particular construction regarding the rampart wall, the construction of the city, the construction of the pathways, the construction for the army, the construction for the common people, their residential areas and the direction for that particular residence. All things are just the part of the scientific study, because they constructed on the basis of a measurement scale, they constructed on the basis of a particular scientific platform. So, these all scientific information is very important, which is mentioned by Kautilya in his Arthashastra. If you want to explain much more information regarding this particular topic, you can consult these references which is here on the slide, and thank you very much for your patient listening. Namaskar.